Welcome back to Atlantic Journal.
Earlier this month, UMB played host to close to 500 students as they compete in this year's Canada-wide Science Fair. We met up with the organizers to see what it takes to compete at this national level.
Canada-wide Science Fair is the culmination of 500,000 kids worth of work. We take the top students from across the country who are working on projects in science, technology, engineering, and math. They've started at the classroom level, have moved to one of 101 regions across the country, and then the top 469 are competing here in Fredericton at the Canada-wide Science Fair. So the event was started in 1962, and the goal really is to empower Canadian youth to get hands-on in science, to get them active in finding solutions to problems that are of concern to them, as well as to stimulate them to become the next generation of innovators, entrepreneurs, academics, and scientists. They are the future of Canada. The competitors start with something they're interested in. So they've got a project or a concept or something that they're of concern, whether it's at the local level, regional level, or a global issue. And they're trying to find a solution to it. So they work with that project, start doing research, find a mentor, start exploring the concept, and then build it from there and actually bring a solution to that issue to life. Just being here unto itself is a huge achievement. Every single person who's here is already a winner. They've already achieved so much to come here, and this is a showcase and a celebration of all the work that they've done. But we do have a series of awards. They get recognized based on their achievement. There's gold, silver, and bronze awards, and those are according to their age group. We also have a series of challenge awards that are focused on the area of their actual project. They range from discovery, environment, energy, health, innovation, information, and resources. And then we have a number of scholarships and special prizes that also come along with that. It's hugely important, one, to showcase the work that people have been doing and the fact that these students are bringing new technology and new innovation to the forefront. But it also helps to stimulate interest in science education and science careers. These students are working toward a future where the jobs that they'll be working in don't exist yet. They are creating those jobs as they're coming along. So we have two elements. One, we're celebrating the students who are here, but we've also got the next generation of students that are coming through, and they're seeing what these students are doing. They're getting stimulated in science, technology, engineering, and math, and it really motivates them to study the sciences as well as to pursue careers in those areas. When you start looking at the careers in Canada right now, there's so many that tie into science careers, sort of STEM education, and you really need to have that basis. Whether it's working in the food industry or working in computer science or wanting to be gaming. All of those elements require a science background. So there's the science element that actually leads into the job and the study, but what you get from here is incredible communication skills and life skills. So these students not only have to relay their information to a judge who understands their project in depth, but they also get judges who are science interested, but not necessarily in their area. So they've got to be able to translate what they've done to be understanding for that judge. And then the more challenging one is when they get the general public coming through and they've got a young student there, that they've got to be able to broadcast that information out in a way that's going to motivate that student, and then they'll be able to understand it. So it's a huge skill from that perspective, but also the process of going through science fairs. The ideation, reiteration, failure is part of the process. That is a huge learning element for these students, and they can take that and apply it to so many other areas, whether it's in science or business or just generally in life.
360 judges came on Tuesday to look at all the projects, and they were looking at 402 projects, one of which was an international project, so 401 Canada-wide projects plus one from Mexico, and there were 469 students here showing them off, so some of them working in pairs, some of them working singly. We're quite strict about the qualifications. We asked everybody who was judging to have at least 3 years of experience after a bachelor's degree, working in a science field like health field, science field, engineering field, or a master's degree or a PhD degree. And all of them are qualified like that, and about half of them have PhD degrees. So it's a very experienced group of people who have a huge range of knowledge, and knowledge of applied science as well as knowledge of all the theoretical aspects as well. We judge the projects on 3 criteria. The first, which takes up about half of the weight, is the scientific excellence. So we're looking for rigor, we're looking for understanding of what they're doing, we're looking for careful experiments, or a brilliant design for a new device, or a careful study that gathers lots of data. We have 3 kind of categories of project, and that's most of the weight of the project. We're also looking for creativity though. So very few of the projects you'll see here will be anything that you've ever seen at a science fair before. The finalists who brought the projects have thought very carefully and long and hard about what they're interested in, and so that there's a substantial chunk of the evaluation that's on how original and how creative the idea is. And last of all, we're interested in the communication aspect. So it's really important that scientists can tell people about the science they've done, can explain why it's important, why it's relevant, why it might improve quality of life for people and things like that. So the last chunk of the mark is all about how the communication happens. And that includes 2 bits. So it includes the interaction that the judges have with the finalists themselves, so the discussion that they have, the questions they ask, how the finalists can explain things, but also how they manage to present things. So all the finalists have spectacular boards and demonstrations and things to show what's going on. It's fantastic. It's great news for Canada. So the next generation of people who are going to invent new ideas, invent new devices, who are going to make new discoveries are all here telling us what they've done so far, and we know that we can expect great things from them in the future. But it's also really exciting in a public communication sense, because it's really important that the general population can evaluate scientific data that we see in the news, that we see in the newspapers. And to do that, you need to be scientifically literate. You need to have an idea how to work with numbers, how to read something critically. And all these young people have done that in spades, and so now they can take that out into their everyday life and be aware of the science that's going on around them, and be in a position to analyze it and to say this is good science and this is bad science. It's important for the young scientists who are here because it gives them an opportunity to present their research. It gives them an opportunity to practice communicating their enthusiasm and to practice communicating their understanding. It's really important for them also to see what other people are doing. So we'll often find people who come to multiple Canada-wide science fairs. They'll come the first time with their project, which will be excellent, but then they'll see other stuff and they'll go, wow, that's fantastic. And they'll come back another year having improved their project in the light of what they've seen elsewhere. But it's also really important for the young scientists who come from our schools in New Brunswick who are going to look around to be inspired, to say, okay, so I might be in grade 7 or 8, but I can still do scientific work that will amaze people and will enthrall people, and people will say, I can see how that's going to be useful in my everyday life, or I can see how that's going to impact us all.
So we've had a great number of alumni. We're about 26,000 alumni have come through this over the 54 years we've been running the fair. Individuals like Roberta Bondar, so Canada's first female astronaut. She credits her involvement in space to her involvement at the Canada-wide Science Fair. In fact, she took her Canada-wide Science Fair pin up into space with her. Last year's Alumni Award winner was Michael Sorbinas. He's the founder of the Kobo Reader, among other projects that he's been able to develop. But he has been involved in startups for so long and has been very successful in it. And he credits the innovation in the process of science fairs and science projects to what he does on a daily basis when he's doing a startup.
That is some pretty impressive stuff. Stay with us after the break. We're going to share some of the inventions showcased at this year's science fair.